Greetings, fellow Whovians, and welcome to Timey Wimey Review. I continue the Sarah Jane Tribute Month by reviewing the Doctor Who episode School Reunion, which was originally broadcast 15 years ago this week, back in April 2006 on BBC One. Just in case you don't know the plot, Mickey Smith has asked Rose Tyler and the Doctor to return to Earth to investigate a nearby school as things are not quite what they seem. The 10th Doctor also gets a blast from the past with the return of Sarah Jane Smith, his former companion, as she is there to investigate the creepy headmaster known as Mr. Finch. Straight away, I loved the 10th Doctor's first interaction with Sarah Jane Smith as he pretends to be John Smith, the teacher. And yeah, David Tennant was acting like such a fanboy when he first locked eyes with Elizabeth Sladen, and just all those emotions coming back, seeing his former companion, which probably would have been several lifetimes, obviously. It's just a really nice moment to see, and David Tennant just pulls it off so well. Really, really good to see. It just reminded me of when I meet celebrities at Comic Cons, and I'm sure other people must have that when they've met one of their most favourite actors or actresses. That big sort of, you're speechless, you don't know what to say, you're a little bit nervous, and then you just go away thinking, oh God, yes, I've just met an amazing person. It is such a thrill to see Elizabeth Sladen back in modern Doctor Who as Sarah Jane Smith, especially for the second season of modern Doctor Who. We had the nostalgia with bringing the monsters back with the Daleks back in season 1 and the Autons, to be fair, and we was also going to get the Cybermen later on in season 2. But yeah, it only had to be Sarah Jane, really. If he was going to pick a companion to come back straight out the gate, everyone would have clamoured for Sarah Jane Smith. And Elizabeth Sladen just doesn't miss a beat here in School Reunion. If anything, she adds more flesh to her character. This is a brilliant way of bridging the gap between modern and classic Doctor Who by introducing or reintroducing Sarah Jane Smith onto the scene. Obviously there would be a generation of children that would only have just watched season 1 of Doctor Who and only just know what they've seen when the show came back in 2005. But then it's become like a family generational thing with this episode of School Reunion, because you've had the mums and dads that would have remembered Sarah Jane back in the 4th Doctor's era and 3rd Doctor's era, respectively, back in the 70s. So yeah, to me, it just bridges that gap. And I also like the interactions between Sarah Jane and Rose Tyler. Now, Rose, if you sort of saying like in wrestling sort of terms, she was kind of a bit of the bad guy in a sense. She was very possessive, a little bit jealous, but it was good to have that kind of friction there between the old and new companion, and especially Rose Tyler still being new to it all and sort of seeing, is that what my future's going to be? We just get old and you're just going to dump me, and in terms of the romance that obviously they were introducing in this story arc of Rose Tyler, you kind of, I can kind of see that connection as well of like, if he was dating an older man, is that what's going to happen? I'm just going to get old and he's going to dump me, or that type of scenario. But no, it's definitely more of an alien concept, and I did like the Doctor's reasoning behind why he sort of leaves companions behind, to a certain extent, in the terms of he wither, humans wither and die. He has to live on alone. He gets close to someone and see them die over and over again. It's a heartbreak, really. So I can kind of get that. But there is no easy answer to this one, I don't think. But it's good to have that conversation, especially with the conversation that we hadn't really had in Doctor Who before. The nostalgia continues with not only the return of Sarah Jane Smith, but we have the return of K9. Again, John Leeson returning to voice K9. Again, a brilliant touch there, and had to do so to bridge the gap between Doctor Who and obviously K9 and Company when we last saw those two faithful companions. So yeah, again, great to see K9, and again used sparingly because he is a bit of a know-it-all, as I touched upon in the K9 and Company review. But yeah, used sparingly, and again gets to save the day as well. Yeah, great to see him back. Also, poor Mickey Smith. I mean, I really enjoy the writing in this episode of School Reunion. It's so quick and witty, but Mickey's realization of how he fits in this group. He thought he is the man in Havana, the technical support. Nope, you are the tin dog. You are there just to sort of do things for whatever reason, but not really get involved in the adventures. So again, poor Mickey Smith. I loved Noel Clarke's character, and I would really like to see him return in Doctor Who. If again, I mentioned this in a rumor roundup quite a while back. If I ever wanted to see a companion from the modern era of Doctor Who return, it's definitely him. I think it would be a great story arc or ending of his story arc if he does return to see the Doctor and just pick up where he left off when we last saw him with Martha Jones and the Sontaran. But the star of the show was Anthony Head as the creepy headmaster, Mr. Finch. He had some brilliant one-liners in this episode, including him talking to the schoolgirl that had a headache, and he just retorts, "That doesn't bother me, go home." And of course, the iconic line, or what should be an iconic line now, "Forget the shooty dog thing." He acted so alien in this episode. Spoiler alert, that's because he was an alien. And yeah, he was definitely a contender to be the Doctor at some point in his career. I think if Doctor Who did run in the 90s, in the classic era, I think he definitely would have been the 90s version of Doctor Who. I'm going to give School Reunion a TARDIS rating of 8 out of 10. It was a fun episode to watch with some quick, witty, and snappy dialogue, and a really good story as well. I'm glad that it was Sarah Jane was the one to talk out the Doctor in that brief temptation that he had to join the Krillitane and essentially become a god. I love that Sarah was the one to sort of bring him down and say no. Loss is equally as important as loving something. And again, I love the ending dialogue between Sarah Jane and Rose Tyler about whether Rose should stay with the Doctor, and she said absolutely, some things are just worth getting your heart broken for. And I like the little sort of added touch of if she does leave the Doctor for whatever reason, find me. It's just a really nice touch for this story. Had a lot of fun with this episode. Lots of nostalgia going on in there with K9, obviously Sarah Jane. The mini metro was mentioned as well. So yeah, really, really good. And absolutely, I think, bridged the gap between classic era and modern era of Doctor Who. And I hoped that children, when they did first watch this back in 2006, or maybe watching it now, has the temptation now to go back and watch some classic Doctor Who, and just to sort of get more in depth with the history of this fantastic show. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on School Reunion, and let me know if it made you want to go back and watch some classic Doctor Who. Also, as part of the Sarah Jane Tribute Month, I have done a fundraising page to try and raise some money for Cancer Research UK in honour of the 10th anniversary of the passing of Elizabeth Sladen. Please go on to the descriptions and click on the link below to check it out, and if you can, please donate to this very worthy cause. Next time on Timey Wimey Review, to complete the Sarah Jane Tribute Month, I will be reviewing the pilot episode of the Sarah Jane Adventures. Until then, thank you very much for watching. Please like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. And if you can, please donate to Cancer Research UK. Until then, as a good doctor once said, correctamundo is a word I've never used before and hopefully never will again.